to be on my show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for reaching out to me. It's an honor.
So I've gone through your profile and I came to know that you're studying in a university and you're into IT.
Yeah, so I am in IT and I've been in my software development program for 3 semesters now, and I've been doing my courses online while working as well. So kind of doing both and then studying software development in my free time.
Okay, so you're working also. So you are studying in?
Yeah, so I'm studying in software development as my major, and so I've been going down a Java track and have been also reviewing data structures and algorithms and different types of software elements. And so not only that, but just like general IT stuff, and then the business side of software development. So it kind of is all encompassing as far as software development goes.
So before starting, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah, so my name is Austin, and I'm from the United States. And so I am currently a student at online school. And so I am studying software development, and I am looking at concepts of Java and C Sharp and C++, and have done projects in those realms. And am also 26 years old.
So you have done projects in Java, C++, etc.
Yeah, so one of the projects that I had to complete in my software development program was a C++ program. The idea was that whenever you're working with legacy systems, you have to take old data and be able to import it into your new systems. And so part of that is parsing out the data. And so we went through and learned how to collect that data, parse it out through commas and using for loops and token arrays, and then taking all of that information and outputting it to a console. And so the class goes over header files and C++ files, and how you construct it all together to build a running program that is ran in a console. So pretty exciting feature, really.
So you're involved in how many projects right now?
So right now, I am currently studying SQL. So I'm studying the SQL programming language for the database side of things. And so I'm involved in a class right now where I'm just learning the basic SQL commands and syntaxes and what it means to normalize data. And so a lot of it is data management and how you organize that data and how it actually can function within a company, but then also how you can prepare views and schemas for users on the other end of the side of that data, so that way they're not messing around with the data too much and it ruining that data. So part of that is learning how to not mess up that data yourself and learning how to create the syntaxes and commands, but then also how would the end user be able to view it? How is it going to be helpful for them? So creating those the data so that it would be meaningful to the end user.
So this is an online degree. So in 3 semesters, what are the subjects that you have studied and which is your favorite one?
Oh, that's great questions. It is an online degree program. What I love about it is it's paced at my own pace, and it's a competency based. So however fast you get it done is how you get it done. And so it's not like a typical college standard where you have one semester where you do 2 classes and it takes this amount of time. It's as long as you're able to study and put in the time and effort and energy into it, you can continue to go at your own pace. And so some of my favorite classes have been the data structure and algorithms classes, how you can actually take some of the things that people have done, like bubble sorting, to help with reducing the processing speed of those components or software programs. But that was a lot of fun. I also enjoy and I know these aren't programming languages, but the front end web development side of things, I love CSS, I love HTML5, and I like how what originally got me into software development was making that user interface friendlier and nicer to users. So I've enjoyed all of those pieces. I've really enjoyed getting to work in Visual Studio. And so I'd say my favorite subjects right now would be those data structures and algorithms, but also some of the fundamentals of programming, such as those front-end web development languages, and also C++, and then hopefully getting into Java and SQL here soon.
So what inspired you? What motivated you, or what made you to come into software development?
Yeah, so originally I graduated with a degree in social work, and so I first went into mental health services. And as I was doing mental health services and helping people with learning independent living skills and with learning how to function and take care of their mental health, I then got into some of the more regulation side of things, where I was helping with billing and billing codes and what codes could be billed for a service that was conducted. And so after I did that for a little bit, I created a diagnostic tool in Excel where I had, if this service is this code, then it's not able to bill. And so when I created those if statements in the Excel formulas, I was like, wait a minute, this sounds like an if-then statement, and this seems like really close to what programming is, or this is that algorithm-like thought process. And so after I really enjoyed creating those instructions for this Excel program to work, I said, you know what, this is what I love doing. I love technology. I love teaching a computer how to do things, and I love how to make it easier to do simple processes such as diagnosing something or even helping a person accomplish basic daily tasks. And so then I went from doing social services to doing an online degree in my spare time and learning how to do that front end web development, learning how to do the back end side of things, and trying to make things easier for people.
So you worked in mental health services. Now you are understanding software development, the front end, back end, and the middleware. So how is this happening, and what you are observing in both? Because something you have studied is completely into the human beings and understanding the emotions of the people, and now it is completely the technology, which is completely non-emotional.
Yeah, so I think it just comes down to the fact that I think that even back then I was really good at helping people, like helping make things easier for people, or helping people to achieve the goals that they wanted to achieve. And that was one of my main goals when I first got into health services and emotions and working with mental health. Was I wanted people to achieve the goals that they wanted to achieve, and I wanted to help them get there, and I wanted to help them with their recovery. And I think partly me moving into technology is that I also like teaching, and I also like making things easier. And so if I could do instructions on a program or teach someone how to use a computer more efficiently, that's kind of where I get my passion for making user interfaces more friendly. I like the idea of a website being just teaching a person a couple clicks and they get what they want at the end of that. And so I think one of the bigger reasons why I loved it is because with those user interfaces, getting to see the emotions of people or the reactions of people to that program when you're going through, and having them click on that button, and it's that satisfying moment of they clicked that button and it was exactly what they were supposed to do, and that was the end result. And so I think for me, I just like trying to make things functional, and I like to see how people take that and actually apply it to their lives. So that's kind of what sponsored me to get into that technology realm.
So you're understanding the business aspect of the software development.
Yes. So I think what I would rather get into is software as a service. I know we have platforms as a service and infrastructure as a service, and I think that there's definitely all those things in place for people if they want to have cloud networking or security features or systems to that effect. But I do really like the idea of the software as a system, as a service. Sorry, software as a service. And so, like the idea of Skype, or the idea of creating an app that is easy or functional. Maybe it's a reminder app where that it tells them to breathe 10 seconds every hour, or maybe it's something that can help them with their daily productivity with their calendars or writing down their ideas and thoughts. So I love looking up to Instagram, and I like looking at Facebook and seeing all the different things that social media platforms do for people as that way of connecting with other people or creating community, and how technology has impacted people's lives, even with just the ability to converse with someone across the country, and being able to talk and express and share opinions and ideas. So I like to see the business side of things as well, because you have like machine learning and teaching them how to get the algorithms for this advertisement will be the right thing for that person, and they'll want to click on it and sell that product. But at the end of the day, it seems like it's not so much as selling the product as much as it is making sure people are actually getting the things that they want to achieve from technology, or getting to see the potential benefits, because we all can scroll through tens of thousands of cat videos, but it doesn't mean that we want to see, there's only one particular cat video that we actually really want to see. So that's kind of my thoughts behind it, as well as the business side of things. Is there's some involvement with like the financial pieces, but also how can we make that a better experience for the person at the end of the day.
So you mentioned some of the softwares in the internet, like social networking websites, like apps, Instagram and Facebook. So what are your favorite softwares in internet as a developer?
Yeah. So right now I'm still fairly new to the game. So I've been again, I still like some of those front end stuff. I've enjoyed reading people's posts about TypeScript and how it's been incorporating JavaScript. And so it's like a newer version of JavaScript that can incorporate all of the components that JavaScript was. And so I think that whenever we continue to see new ideas or new platforms come out with trying new things, I get excited to see how that will continue to affect social media. I like getting to see how our user interfaces change, or how the community reacts to new things, such as like with Instagram. Originally, we were just posting photos, and now there's all sorts of different avenues with Instagram. You can go to Reels, you can go to like carousel photos, and just lots of different ways that you can interact with it. So as far as programming languages go, I think that progressive web apps is where I've been mainly focusing my ideas or opinions towards, just because not everyone can access a certain thing through their technological device. And so progressive web apps can be used through a web browser. And so making that experience available or tailored to everyone is kind of where I would like to eventually be at, but it's still kind of learning in that realm.
So you mentioned that the previous job of yours helped you in understanding the user interface, the front end of the websites. So tell me more about it. So because it is very important for every front end developer to understand what is required and what exactly makes people to uh, connect with it and use it very efficiently and effectively.
Yeah, so originally because I hadn't had a lot of front end web development experience, I hadn't had a lot of experience with software in general. Part of what my instructions were to users was how to use Excel, and so part of that was creating instructions for them to how to populate the Excel spreadsheet the proper way, where to click, making sure that the functions inside that Excel spreadsheet were usable and understandable by people. And so part of it was not only just creating this cool functioning dynamic Excel spreadsheet with hidden data that had formulas working in the background, but also teaching people with like user manuals, with video tutorials, with handwritten not handwritten documents, but documents that were written on the actual process itself, and how do you input this data into this spreadsheet to get the answer that you want. And at the end of the day, I really felt a lot of satisfaction from doing live trainings and teaching them and seeing them put the data in and it work and function the right way. And so that's where a lot of my where my background comes in, of saying, hey, this is definitely something I want to do, is I want to make tools that people can use and it makes their jobs way easier, or life easier.
So what do you need to put in your mind if you are a software developer?
Well, I would say to anyone that is wanting to be a software developer, it is learning. It is something that you really have to want to enjoy. Like if you enjoy technology and you like the idea of technical specifications and reading and making sure that something is correct, I think that this could be your avenue. I also think that if you set your mind to it, you can learn it. I think that that's the biggest piece is a lot of people think that technology is this big scary thing and that they can't do it and that they're not smart enough or they're not trained well enough or they don't think it's fascinating enough. And for me, I made a change from what I was currently doing because I started to value being able to use a computer as an avenue or outlet for my creativity and for helping people. And so I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is yes, there are some technical aspects to software development, but if you want to learn it, you can do it. It really is just a matter of your focus and if you want to continue to develop that skill. So I would encourage people to not be discouraged by technology and to just continue to try if that's something that they want to do.
You mentioned SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. So how does software uh, is creating impact on human beings' mind and the internet? Because your previous job was to understand the mindsets of the people. Now uh, you are trying to understand how a not a physical thing is
Yeah.
uh, uh, creating impact on people's lives.
And, I think the biggest thing that I see with it, Sai, is that there's basically a lot of people that they use software every day and they're not aware of it. Um, it could be at that POS system that they are using at their restaurant. It could be the fact that, like, whenever they go and print off that receipt, they have at the very bottom, if you need to give a tip and it doesn't tell you what your percentage is for or recommended percentages for your tips at the bottom, then that's a software thing. That's a calculated or a programmed thing, or maybe it doesn't give the right amount. If it doesn't calculate correctly, then that operating system essentially doesn't work well. And so it's not just restaurants. Every person can use it for their business. It could be putting up a website so that way they can sell their products. It can be as far as software itself goes. You can see for big corporations or medical corporations, they have what are known as electronic health records. And those software services help contain all of these medical records for patients. And you can only imagine the complexities where it goes into billing, and then it also goes into that person's health information, and then also being able to accurately contain all of those records in an electronic database. So there are many different jobs that require a lot of different softwares. And I think that that's where you get some competing bids of people. Maybe it's your company needs to organize its system of tracking its employees or different things like that. So software as a service is a huge part of a business's infrastructure.
So tell me about security.
So security is super important. I would say one of the things that we did, or one of the classes that I was instructed on in my online course was security fundamentals. And one of the biggest things that you're looking at is making sure that your important information is being protected against hackers, and making sure that whenever you're handling important information that you have lots of ways of encrypting that data and making sure that it's protected. There are lots of different types of attacks, such as a ransomware attack, where if a person gets a hold of that data and tries to sell it or tries to sell you the ability to get access back to your own data, that's that's what's known as ransomware. And you don't want to have someone getting a hold of your most important data. It could be that they obtain your clients' credit card information from your bills of sales, and now they have that information to sell online, and that can cause a lot of breaches towards your clients' health or clients' information, but then also it can affect your publicity as a company, and then also your day-to-day functioning. And so there's a lot of different types of attacks that a hacker can pose to create some ways of ruining your company's system, but ransomware being one of them. It's just one of the more reasons why a bunch of businesses right now are upping their security on their software pieces.
So how you're handling this? You're studying and at the same time you're working.
So a lot of time management skills there. I would say one of the bigger things is making sure that you're putting in a set amount of time that you're wanting to study in a week, and then making sure that you stick to those times. Sometimes it's easy for friends and family to want to spend time with you, and as much as you want to spend time with them, you also have to spend time to making sure that you can get those activities completed for studying. And so I think one of the biggest, I guess one of the pros of being able to study is that you can study from home. And so when there is a pandemic going on with all the different things going on right now in the world, it's easier to stay inside. So trying to take as much opportunity in the darkness and like changing that into a positive thing. And so being able to take some time to study and communicate with others around the world.
So how much time it took for you to understand coding, data structures and algorithms? Because your subject was before, it was completely non-technical.
Yeah, that's a great question, Sai. At first, it was definitely a little bit of a learning curve. I think that if you have no technical knowledge whatsoever, it is complete change of pace. For me, I had some technical knowledge of like PC parts, but as far as software development goes, I had no knowledge of algorithms, no knowledge of doing software pieces. And so I think the biggest thing is for me, I did a lot of YouTube research. I went to a bunch of professionals online and said, hey, this is how do I even get started? What is software development, and what is Visual Studio, and why am I learning programming languages like C# and C++, and why is this a machine language versus a programming language, and what does this all mean? And so I think a lot of it is introduction to those concepts. And then I also did my online program, which kind of gave me a structure to what I should be learning. So I know people that are trying to self-teach, and I think it's totally doable to do the self-taught route with becoming a software developer. I just know that for me, it was a lot easier to have a structured program that kind of showed me, okay, these are the things I should be kind of studying and working my way through, and then taking that and then adding some extra knowledge along the way as I learned those topics. So it was a little bit tougher for me to kind of jump into the software development realm after being in something that was completely unrelated or in a health field of for a little bit. So yeah.
So how do you see these questioning to your questioning to the computer? Now your communication medium have changed. When you're communicating with the human beings in the before job, using the language English or other languages in order to make them understand that you are trying to establish connection there with the human beings, which is created by God. But now you're creating, uh, 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 you're establishing connection between you and computer with the coding skills that you have, with the new language that you learned. The machine language. So how this experience, this communication skills of yours, how do you define this?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I think of programming languages as almost like people languages, but it's only like a language for a computer. And so like you have, I learned English as my primary language, but I also learned a lot of Spanish. And so a lot of that allowed me to kind of speak with some people. It doesn't mean I'm really proficient in that language, but there's lots of different types of language all over the world where I may not know a language, but I can maybe talk to them through a communicator. And so I think of programming languages and computer languages as such, where you may know C# or you may know Java, and maybe the front end web development languages really well, and you can really create a website in that experience for that person. But then on the back end of things, you don't know how to handle all of that data that comes in from users, and there's other people that handle that. So I kind of like to think of it as this thing where we all kind of work together to use the communication languages that we get really really specified on. It doesn't mean that one language is better than another. It just means that you took the time to be proficient in that one language, and you can still take that time to just learn other languages or get a basic knowledge of other languages so that maybe you can communicate with others. And so I definitely think that as far as translating my human languages into learning software development languages, I kind of think of it in the same way. I just feel it's like, how do I speak with this computer? How do I learn the vocabulary to talk to the computer? And then hopefully that can get across to it. And then I run the program, and then I have to debug it, and then forget that semicolon at the end of one of those lines and go, okay, I got to go back and fix that. And so what's nice about it is the computer is going to run that program every time. And so it's like at the end of the day, I missed that semicolon. So I know that program is going to tell me why there's an error. And so I like the challenge of troubleshooting and trying to find it, because it's like a puzzle piece, like that last puzzle piece to a puzzle. And it's on your end to try and figure out how to fix it and put it in place. But ultimately at the end of the day, it's on you to troubleshoot that program and put it in. And it's not necessarily the computer's fault that your communication isn't working. So that's partially different with human languages, but also I think that they're very similar in a certain sense.
So user experience is one of the important. It's a major thing if you're a software developer. So in this technical experience, how much you understood about the users and their experiences about the software that you've worked?
Yeah. So I think user experience is super important. I think that ultimately at the end of the day, it's a part of the emotions that get invoked from seeing how when you press that button, it creates that that emotion of saying, hey, when I liked that, I actually felt that I was making an impact on that process, or I was able to communicate with someone, or I was able to experience that emotion of happiness or sadness. It's kind of like watching a movie almost. Whenever the directors are trying to take a certain camera scene and say, hey, this is exactly what we want them to feel when we get to this point in the movie, or this is the kind of emotions that we want to evoke. It's kind of that same thing, except from a software development side of things. You take that same experience for the end user and say, well, they should feel this lightness, or this light versus dark mode. I know a lot of people, a lot of software developers, when they're using their IDEs, they look at that dark mode, and it's easier for them to read the lines. It's not necessarily there for evoking emotion, but on the end user thing, you could create green colors or purples, and use all these different types of effects to make end users feel those effects of the decisions you're making on color, on the size and shape of buttons, just the way that platform feels to that person. So I think that's a cool thing about software development as well.
So there are millions of softwares in the internet. So as a software developer, as a person who understands about software psychology, so what you have understood in your the complete technical career about the software industry?
Yeah. So I think There's a lot of studies out there between people's mental health and a lot of people's technology usage, and I think ultimately it kind of depends on the person, and also I I think from my perspective of things, I want software to be helpful and not a hindrance to humanity. And there's certain cases where, certain platforms have strict guidelines on how their users use it socially. And then they also, people can place guidelines on how they want to handle their own devices. And so I think a big piece is what helps you to make technology functional for your life, and then also how does it help with your mental health, how does it help with your physical health. Some examples of this is in our fitness tracking devices, where you have like Fitbit or Apple Watch devices where it can track how fast you ran or how long you ran, and then you can kind of share that with friends and family. And so I think that there's a bunch of software out there in the universe, but ultimately, even though there are a lot of software pieces out there, we're always seeking to make it even better. We're always seeking to make it the more improved experience. And I don't think we'll ever hit that point where we say, this is the software and that's it. I think it will always be continually improving or continually changing based on societal needs and societal desires, but then also how it helps with the person function with their physical health, their mental health, and emotional health. So I think that, there's a lot of software out there to help people with doing better in society, but there's so much more software that could be developed.
So can I say, just being 26, I think you understood more than what you have to understood about the softwares.
Um, and if correct me if I'm wrong, Sai, you think that I know a decent amount as far as being 26 and kind of getting used to like getting my hands wet with software programming? Well, I appreciate it, Sai. I think that it's a lot of learning. I think there's a lot of people out there that are really good at getting into software development and really get it at a really young age. The Instagram community has shown me so much. There are some people that are just so young and so smart and so talented. And there's points where I can see that we have younger generations creating and developing apps at 16 or 18, and they're already hitting the ground running and doing great things with it. And then there's other folks that are older and probably will never work towards using technology as much as some of the younger people. And so I think what I enjoy about technology is that it can be inclusive. And I know that for some people it's divisive, but I think that it's more inclusive. You can be young, you can be old, you can be at any point, and you can go and learn software development, in my opinion. So I just am trying to make sure that we're making it easier to access to everyone, because I've found a passion in it, and I've also found that it's been helpful with like daily living skills and different things like that. So I'm always trying to be more inclusive of people and encourage people to join the software developing community.
So you understand cloud services and understand the physical environment and virtual environment?
Yeah, so the cloud services, I think that that's a little bit more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? I think that a lot of people kind of get this image in their head that this data goes to some imaginary place in the sky, and that it just is held there and no one takes care of it or handles any of those data pieces. And that's not the case. And it's a kind of a confusing topic for most people. I would say that the biggest thing is to think about if you were to keep track of information on your own computer, where does that information go? And then that information is actually being sent to a device in some location that is holding and housing all of that data. So there's data warehouses where they just continue to have these servers that collect all this data. And so it's not a cloud. It's not like this imaginary place where all the data goes and then you can somehow get it back. So you just definitely want to be careful about what information you put out there, and know that it can be accessed by other people as much as we are trying to be secure with that data. Just being very careful of how you manage that data as well. So as far as cloud services go, I definitely couldn't run a company tomorrow on on data and networking and making sure that all the components are running. But I would just recommend to people that just be careful of what you upload and what things get put on the cloud data, because you just never know what companies may use or may not use that data. So just some thoughts and considerations when you're thinking about cloud services.
So you have studied data structures and algorithms. So what do you say about the algorithm which is there in the internet, the Google algorithm and the YouTube algorithm? Have you understood about it?
Yeah, so I can't say I know too much about how Google uses their algorithms. I know the biggest thing I kind of think about is like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram are all using these algorithms to kind of predict what types of things that you like, and that's kind of based on that machine learning I was talking about earlier, where if you like something and you've seen that video, it'll recommend a certain other list of videos, and depending on what you choose from those lists, it still has key tags or different things to it to help give you that next optimized search feature. So essentially, when you're looking at those types of algorithms, there's a lot more that goes into it than I think a lot of folks know about, which is their machines are constantly running through the data. Their machines are constantly viewing the videos and constantly trying to take into account how many viewers has this already have, how many people have seen this video, how many liked it, how many people are putting in tags to this video. And so there are a lot of different things that go to those algorithms, and you can look up on YouTube even the different things that people say go towards calculating that algorithm. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of back end side of things that we don't get to see that actually structures that data. So something to take into consideration with those algorithms.
So what is your observation as a software developer? Do you think that these softwares are going to be into automation? You know, you already know about WordPress websites, so most of the internet is filled with WordPress.
Yeah, so I think that I don't think people need to be concerned about the automation of software development. I think that as we continue to automate software development, it just makes it easier for us to make the things that are not developed yet for us to focus our time and energies on that. I think some of the things that we may need to move towards as we continue to do software development is quantum computing. If we start getting into this idea where computers are managing quantum mechanics versus just regular programming languages. And so maybe we get to that point where we say, okay, we now can create a video game in 5 seconds flat. And it's because these things automated it for us, that does the drawings for us. It programs the objects correctly and places the functions in the game. Now let's focus on how do we make this game run faster? How do we make this do that? And so I think we're going to see a lot of changes that if things get automated faster, we may move toward AI learning. We may move toward robotic software development. We may move towards different types of software development that we're not aware of currently, but it's not something that's going to replace jobs or anything like that. It's going to be more so allows us to do more of expanding upon what we already know.
So, compared to before 5 years or 3 years, the world has moved to the virtual world. So, what do you understand about this? People coming into and living in the virtual world for the long time. You also mentioned that you are understanding Instagram, Facebook, the social networking sites. So, do you think that they are changing their lifestyles, and do you think that the world have completely is going to be online in coming days?
You know, I love these questions of speculation of like how do we foresee things going? And I think a lot of times, well, I would say that a big key part is that we had the pandemic causing people to go fully remote. And so there were a lot of technological aspects that I was pushing out 10 years from now, where I said, we're not going to be doing virtual reality or augmented reality or any of those types of technology pieces until 10 years from now. But now that we have had this now that we've had to kind of focus on automating our systems and communicating virtually, it has only made that progress faster. And so there are a lot of people getting onto the internet. There are a lot of people that who have never accessed the internet before are now accessing the internet and finding community and finding the ability to get services delivered to their home or different things like that. And so I do think that in the future, as we continue to work toward virtual reality and augmented reality, I think that within the next 5 years, I do foresee people maybe even having conferences over online platforms, or even just going to work virtually through their virtual VR headset. And so I don't know what that entirely looks like. But I think that technology is getting better, and it is getting better rapidly. And so I think that within the next 5 years, we could definitely see improvements to, say, Apple glasses, where you have this augmented reality view where you could answer a text message just using your mind and not even typing with your thumbs. Or you have like those pieces where you're using virtual reality goggles and you're visiting your family through the virtual lens, and you don't even have to go to a different part of the country where they're living at. So I do think that is it's coming, and I think it's coming rather quickly. And I could even foresee some of that happening within the next 5 years.
So you're being the connectivity, you're being the uh, 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 reason because of the connection between human beings, because the communication medium you are creating the softwares which connects with human beings. So today software is playing is like people are getting connected using these social networks, these softwares. They are getting married and they are loving each other through online. So how you see this connectivity as understanding user experience of the softwares? So how it is going to be in future? Is there's uh, uh, going to be the biggest thing in connectivity between human beings, the
You know,
software?
that's a great question. I really do foresee. I want to play a part in that communication piece. I want to play a part in helping create those experiences with people, or helping to connect people better. And so, what does that look like? Is that creating a game that you can play with your family members from across the room or across the country, kind of like playing or even streaming? How there's online streaming of video games and stuff, and how people are able to observe and watch other people play games and have that experience as well. I think I would love to be a part of that community where it's, what is that new thing that allows you to feel connected to that other person, and then creating those new experiences for people, creating ways to make their house feel more like a home. I know right now we have the Internet of Things, and so you have like your stuff like Google Chrome, Google Chromecast, or you're being able to talk to Siri or Amazon or the Google Home devices, and just how do we eventually get to that point where it's like the milk in your fridge is expired and your refrigerator tells you that it's expired. And so I think it's not even just a matter of connecting people and getting that experience that way, but also in our daily activities of saying, your fridge needs to tell you what things are on your grocery list so you can go buy that thing. Or maybe your card communicates to you on your phone and says, hey, you're running low on gas, maybe you should find a time in your schedule to get some gas, or different things like that. So it's not just a matter of connection with other people and creating that connection. I would love to do that. I like that idea of like being able to just chat with people in your mind and like text back and forth without having to use your fingers. But it's just creating those experiences and making it easier for people to be able to connect, or making daily things such as just getting groceries easier.
So my last question is how this mental health knowledge of yours is helping you in developing a software.
That's another great question. So I love all these questions you've been asking. So as far as like my software development and tying it back to mental health, I really have focused on a lot of those pieces of what I did as a case manager and how I was able to help people make progress to their goals. And so a lot of times what you do as a case manager is you develop an action plan or a plan where you teach them how to get to the goals that they want to achieve. And so I tend to think of software as this idea of like, okay, what do we want to achieve with this software, or what do we want to help a person achieve with that software? And so you kind of develop that same action plan, but only you're communicating with the computer versus communicating with the person. But at the end of the day, it's still that idea of helping someone to get to their end goal or helping someone to achieve something that they might not normally be able to achieve. And so, yeah, I kind of like the blend of those two things. I know some people kind of criticize technology for causing a damper on mental health, but at the same time, I think that people don't take into consideration of the fact that they're able to call their family from across the country, or they're able to call emergency services if they get in an accident, or there's a lot of things, like even just getting directions to your local grocery store, getting directions to your workplace, anything within the city. And so that's all helpful things that help you to not worry about, oh, am I going to make it to there, or maybe I forgot something. And part of that is like using your calendar on your phone. There's a lot of things that you can do with that too, which kind of help you organize and keep your mental health in check as well. So as much as people say that technology dampens mental health capabilities, I also think that technology has helped people immensely. So that's kind of where I go back and forth with it, especially with mental health, as far as a mental health professional goes.
So, as a person who is a mixture of humans and the software, so which communicating medium you like, the chat one or the audio one or the video one?
So I personally prefer texting. I prefer messaging and instant messaging. The reason why I prefer that is just because I know one-on-one is great, and I enjoy communicating one-on-one with people and getting to chat with them. But I also prefer just getting to send a quick message to someone, a quick way to encourage them, or say, hey, I'm thinking about you, or maybe it's like hey, I really quickly need to go do this. Let me give you a heads up. So I do like how the messaging platform can allow you to message with people without having to like totally commit to a time or thing. But I also think that there's a time and place for having face-to-face conversations, or having video conversations and phone calls. And so I would say the instant messaging is my favorite chat platform, but I also am just as happy to talk with people and communicate over phones as well.
So, which one is going to play a major role in the internet in coming days? The podcast softwares, or the video platform softwares, YouTube, or the websites, the texting one that you like?
Yeah. So I think that in the future, people want to be engaged. I think that people want to get these emotions evoked, that and part of that is that motion piece. I think that whenever we watch motion happen, that's like, it catches our attention, it catches our eye. And so I'm not saying that podcasts or texting or anything isn't going to be as prolific, but I think we can see why TikTok is such a success, is because it's 6-second videos that you can scroll through. And if you get past that 6-second video, at least it was only 6 seconds of your time that was wasted. And so you can continue to scroll and get those, like that video that we're like, oh, that one evokes the right emotion. That one was the one that, like, I totally understand that concept, or I totally relate with that person. And so I think that ultimately what we'll see is we'll continue to see developments of like YouTube stories or Instagram stories, where people want to feel like this connection, but then also that it's a short amount of time so that they can continue to be productive with whatever they're doing.
Awesome. I think you're understanding a lot about the communication online, and because it's very important. If you're a software developer, if you're into software, you're not just understanding the coding part, you're understanding the main thing, the what actually the industry is, why we are into this industry, and how it is going to be helpful to the people positively and make a better planet.
Well, I thank you, Sai, and I really appreciate these questions. I love just getting to chat software. I love getting to chat like human emotions and human concepts, and also what kind of trends we're seeing societally as well. So I appreciate that, Sai, and thanks for having me on for an interview. It was a pleasure.
So at last, so what do you say about my questioning skills, and what do you understand about my technical and non-technical questioning, my communication skills?
Well, Sai, I'm really impressed with your technical knowledge. You have a lot of knowledge base in a lot of different general areas, and so I really appreciated like the wide gamut and variety of questions that were kind of thrown at me, and just you have a very eclectic knowledge base. So I appreciate you asking all these thought-provoking questions, and it's just great getting to chat with you.
So have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube, and what do you say about it?
I did get to see a couple of YouTube videos, and I really do enjoy what you're doing and how you're communicating with software developers, and just getting to chat with people. And I think it's a great way of just helping people see what differences there are between software developers, and what I may say or think is kind of different from what other people say and think. And so there are some people that are really passionate about artificial intelligence, and some people are really passionate about machine learning, and I may not necessarily know that much about it, but I also see the societal effects and also the effects of how we can continue to make software a better improvement for people's lives. So I have seen a couple of your YouTube videos, and I appreciated you reaching out to me for an interview.
So can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yes, absolutely. And hey, do you mind if I put this on Instagram or like a link to your YouTube video on Instagram?
Yeah, definitely. You can share it anywhere.
Awesome.
I will send you the link once it is published.
Awesome. Sai, I really have thoroughly enjoyed this time getting to chat with you, and thanks for having me.
Do you want me to put any web link of yours, the social links, or your website? Do you have any blogs? I'll put in the description of this video. People who find the video can see the work that you're doing.
Yeah, right now I'm just doing Instagram. I'm still kind of building my website and portfolio and stuff. I was just gonna just using my for Instagram. Otherwise, I'm still kind of trying to build up my portfolio, and it's hard to make time to do that while I'm doing school and doing work and stuff. And so, but I would eventually like to get up there. I'm just kind of trying to build my Instagram audience and trying to build up that platform. So I appreciated you reaching out to me through that.
And also, can I put this video and audio clip on my podcast website, social media, everywhere in the internet with your permission?
Yes, you have my full permission to use all audio, all video, any images that you need to. You have full permission to put it on Instagram, YouTube, any social media platform you can that comes out and about. I appreciate you disclaiming with me, and also letting me chat with you, but then also promoting some of my profile on Instagram as well. I really do appreciate you reaching out.
Thank you, Austin. Keep going, keep doing what you love. I'm sure in coming days you're going to be very big in the software industry.
Thank you, Sai. I know that you're going to be pretty big as well, so I appreciate you. Take care.